This week's new GTA Online update has brought about a huge amount of discounted vehicles as well as removed vehicles as well, so despite no real good money bonuses that will entice players to play the game that much this week, you definitely do not want to sleep on all of the offers that we have in terms of vehicles, and so today we're going to be checking out all of the limited time rare vehicles that were just added back into GTA Online for this week's update. You'll get the proper in-depth analysis on what these cars drive like, how they feel to drive, any cool features they have, performance in terms of top speed, braking, handling, customization, etc., and basically just their overall desirability and if you should add them to your collection or not. And so with all that out of the way, let's dive into things. Now, I do want to make a quick disclaimer here that in this video, we're actually going to be featuring all of the removed vehicles. So we have 4 normal ones plus 4 removed vehicles as well that are also discounted this week. And then tomorrow on the show, you'll find the other 8 discounted vehicles in my normal weekly GTA5 Online Discounts Buyer's Guide, where I normally review discounted vehicles. I just wanted to split them up for this video so that we have 8 vehicles per video rather than 4 in this one and then 12 tomorrow. So jumping in, let's start off with the discounted vehicles that are also removed. So we do have 30% off the Ubermacht Zion Classic. This car has a really good top speed and pretty good acceleration here, and it closely mirrors the performance of its sibling if you've driven it, which is the Sentinel Classic by Ubermacht in the game, but it does offer a little bit of a different handling experience. It's not as prone to oversteer, and so overall it's going to be more controllable around corners and on uneven surfaces if you need to take it off-road or something like that. And while the drifting capabilities are going to be somewhat limited here compared to the Sentinel Classic, it's also still very good at drifting nonetheless. And this car is overall heavily inspired by that first generation BMW M6, so it resembles the Sentinel Classic as well, but you get a shorter cabin as well as a larger body with this car. Overall, really nice. Definitely recommend you pick it up. Moving on, we have 30% off the Ubermacht SC1 as well. This car is pretty cool. The acceleration's decent. It's not really on par with some of the top performing supercars in the game. The SC1 overall, I'd say, has a top speed of around 124 miles an hour, which is respectable, but it's not groundbreaking by any means. Actually, in comparison to other supercars in the game, the top speed is actually the second slowest in terms of supercars. It's not going to outpace faster cars in its class, but it can hold its own in certain niche situations. The braking performance is actually pretty good, and then the car can also decelerate pretty fast because of that good braking, which obviously means a much more controlled stop, but also a better driving experience if you're at a higher speed. Again, it will still be outclassed by some top tier sports and supercars in the game. I'm not saying that the Ubermacht SC1 has the best braking in the game, but in its own regard, I do think it's good enough. Handling, though, is going to be the SC1's strongest aspect here. The car is very responsive, it's got stable grip on the road, and so overall it's really fun to drive around the city or even on the windy roads to the north of Los Santos. It's rear-wheel drive as well, so that may lead to a little bit of oversteer if you don't manage the car properly, but it can still be used to your advantage if you want to drift around in a fun way a little bit. And overall, I'd say the handling of this car is well balanced. It's got well balanced performance as well, and so even though it's one of the slowest supercars in terms of top speed and lap time, it's still a fun car to drive around as well as customize in this game. Moving on, we do have 30% off the Landstalker XL by Dundreary as well. This is a robust and a bulky SUV. Now, it is a durable cruiser for roleplay activities. It's not going to be a high-speed competitor in the SUVs class like the Rebla GTS or something like that, but the performance in speed and acceleration still for this big SUV is going to be middle of the road, but it does stand out for its exceptional resilience against damage. That includes both collisions if you crash as well as incoming gunfire. It's also a pretty good off-roader as well. It benefits from that elevated ride height for improved handling in rugged conditions, and although the weight might suggest otherwise here, honestly, it has a pretty small turning radius as well, so you can turn kind of on a dime for as big as an SUV as this thing is, so that's pretty cool right there. It is inspired by that 4th generation Lincoln Navigator, but you also get some blended elements from the Chevy Tahoe and Suburban, notably in the unique headlight arrangements, so that's pretty cool. Now moving on to number 4, we do have 30% off the Grotti Stinger. I want to keep this one brief because the Stinger GT was actually discounted last week, and basically they have the same performance as each other. The GT is the same as the normal Stinger. The only difference is the GT is a hardtop coupe, and the convertible one is just going to be the normal Stinger, and so it's totally style preference more than anything when it comes to driving this car and which one you want to go for. It's a high performance Grand Tourer. It draws inspiration from that iconic Ferrari 250 GTO. You get high speed, good acceleration, and you get to outperform other sports classics in both categories. You may have a little bit of oversteer with this car, and you may even power slide right off the road if you're not careful, but if you keep the car within its limits, it's honestly very forgiving, and it has excellent traction if you don't push it too far. Durability is also okay, and the braking is probably less than impressive, so do be mindful of that. Now let's talk about the other 4 vehicles this week. They are not discounted, but again, they are still removed from the game and added back for this week. So we do have the Pegassi Infernus up next. This is, of course, an iconic vehicle in the GTA series. It's a high-performance car that offers good acceleration, a really good top speed. It has all-wheel drive, so it is a treat to drive around because the handling's great, but it does require a little bit of careful attention here due to a really bad tendency to understeer, so that makes cornering a little bit of a challenge. What you need to do is just let off the throttle around a turn or hit the brakes just very slightly. You don't want to keep giving the car gas around a turn because you're just going to like plow forward and not really turn all that much. Despite that quirk though, I would say the Infernus is still a very good car, and it's ideal if you want a removed vehicle this week in GTA that also has a lot of history in the GTA series, but also in real life as well, since it's probably most based on that first generation Lamborghini Murcielago, and then you also get some design elements from the Lamborghini Diablo too. Now moving on to number 6, we have the Albany Alpha, which was actually just featured back as a removed vehicle a couple months ago as well, so I'll keep this one a little bit more brief. It has a high top speed of 118 miles an hour. It's got solid acceleration. The launch does suffer from a ton of wheel spin though, because surprisingly, despite the size of this car, it's actually pretty lightweight and it's only a rear wheel drive, so keep that in mind. The braking performance on this car is also nice because it balances out its mass effectively, and while the Alpha's handling is generally smooth with manageable oversteer at high speeds, it's not really a top choice at all in competitive races in the sports category, as one would expect here. It's just a nice casual cruising car to take out in GTA Online. The Alpha also resembles that 2013 Cadillac El Mirage concept car, so Rockstar I think did a really good job here of making this look like a production car, yet it's still based off of like a concept vehicle in real life. Next up we have the Shyster Deviant. We actually haven't talked about this car in like 8 months since the last time it was on discount. It actually came back one time between last August and today. It actually came back I think several months ago, also as a removed vehicle, but it wasn't on discount, so we didn't talk about it much at the time, but now I will. This is a vehicle I think players will really enjoy when they purchase it. It's such a great looking car. I actually kept everything about the body and paint completely stock just because it looks so good. The Deviant in this game has great top speed, it's got great handling compared to other muscle cars, but it is very heavy and you can feel that when you're driving. So don't be surprised if you find yourself losing traction at suboptimal times when you drive this car. Like if you're really trying to push this vehicle beyond its limits, because it absolutely 100% will give out on you. But at the same time, that's kind of where the beauty of this car lies. You know, I feel like you're always at the absolute limit driving this car, but you're always in control at the same time. It's got good durability, good collision resistance, and I'd say it's also a rather competitive choice for muscle cars. It's not going to be a top 3 muscle car in the game, but I think it's really fun and it's an engaging vehicle to drive, and also the feedback you get behind the wheel with the Deviant is amazing. So definitely pick it up if you have the cash. Next up, we do have the Western Wolfsbane. Now this bike, again, I'm going to review it in a pretty brief way because there's just not much to it when it comes to the Wolfsbane. If you've driven the Damon, then you'll like the Western Wolfsbane because it offers performance that's very similar. You get an average top speed of only 102 miles an hour, but you get pretty good acceleration, and I would say good enough handling. The thing about this bike is, even though it's not really meant for the dirt in any regard, it actually performs exceptionally well off-road, and you can easily maintain control without any wheel spin or loss of handling or anything like that. So if you find yourself running from the cops, try taking this bike up a hill up north and see how easy it is to climb rocks and all that random stuff off-road. You know, it's not a Sanchez, it's not a dirt bike by any means, but in terms of handling, I'd say it handles 75% as good of a dirt bike off-road. So that's pretty cool, but that's all for the removed vehicles for today. Make sure to check out my in-depth review tomorrow and also my tips on all of the other discounted vehicles with this week's update. I know we discussed some in this video, but the other 8 aren't removed. They're just discounted and you can buy them off in-game websites. So we'll be checking those out tomorrow. Hopefully you all enjoyed the video here today, and if you did, hopefully I earned your like on it. And of course, if you are new to my channel and you want to stay up to date with all the best GTA Online and Rockstar Games content, then please consider hitting that subscribe button so you don't miss out on a single thing we post here on the channel. Make sure to follow me over on Twitch, Twitter, and Instagram. Those are the best places to get connected with me outside of YouTube, and you're more than welcome to ask me any questions on those platforms. Hopefully you all have a fantastic day, and I will see you guys in the next GTA Online video. Adios, amigos.